Welcome. Today I have the pleasure of speaking with Pam Kenney. Pam is a mother of three whose personal journey led her down a path of discovery and transformation. After initially embracing the ketogenic diet, Pam found herself drawn further into the realm of low carb and eventually tried the carnivore diet that healed her IBS and mental health. Motivated by her profound transformation, Pam embarked on a journey of retraining as a dedicated nutritionist specializing in low-carb lifestyle. Now, please welcome Pam.
Thank you so much for having me.
Can you share with us what initially prompted you to try the keto diet, then the carnivore diet, and what were your expectations going into it?
Sure. So the keto diet started actually through my mother. I had a very invasive surgery that required a long recovery time. My kids were little at the time, so my husband took over their care and my mom took over my nutrition. At that time, I did not really have any expectations of the keto diet. I knew that it was nutritionally complete. I was eating delicious food. I was satisfied. My healing went well. But surprisingly, with not moving around too much, I lost weight. So that was really intriguing to me. So I did the keto diet for many, many years after that. So then what was formerly known as Twitter, I was already following Dr. Sean Baker. And I believe this was 2017. And he had already been carnivore for about a month, I think. And he had kind of put out a challenge to his followers to try the carnivore diet. And I was intrigued because although I had really great success with the keto diet, I was still having some health problems. I was still having a lot of digestive distress. I thought, oh, okay, I'll do this. It was February 2017. I thought 28 days, I can do this, all meat. And one thing that really stuck with me about this carnivore diet was an anecdote that I had read on one of the Twitter posts about somebody healing gum recession by eating only meat. And that story has stuck with me forever because I did have gum recession. And I thought, oh my gosh, like if eating meat could heal that, I would be so happy. So I started February 2017 and really haven't looked back. I was immediately impressed by how well I felt and how much better my digestion was.
Many people might find the idea of eating only meat quite unusual. What was your experience like transitioning to and maintaining a carnivore diet?
Yeah, so unusual is putting it lightly, I think. People think it's downright weird. So my transition was pretty easy. I have always loved eating meat. It's my favorite thing to eat. To me, it was an easier way of eating. Not having to make side dishes and also seeing the improvements in my health. So I would say within 5 days of eliminating fiber from my diet, my IBS was gone. It was in complete remission and has never returned. And I suffered from IBS for over 25 years. I mean, I tried every strategy possible to heal myself from that. And it was just nothing was working except for when I eliminated the fiber. So yeah, transitioning to the carnivore diet for me was pretty easy. I love meat. And I think probably the hardest part is the judgment that comes along with the carnivore diet.
Have you tried to reintroduce some other foods since being on the carnivore diet?
I have. So I still probably do about 4 months every year that is strict carnivore, but I have introduced some carbohydrates into my breakfast. So I used to be an avid faster, which no longer works for me. I always eat breakfast in the morning now, and I always have carbs with breakfast now. They're usually like frozen organic berries, things like that. Just those added micronutrients. And I think carbs can be beneficial for women, especially in the morning.
And are you part of the carnivore that eat or don't eat cheese?
I do eat cheese. I've always eaten full fat dairy through all of this. Yeah, I have always incorporated dairy.
What are some of the most significant changes you noticed in your body and overall well-being after adopting the carnivore diet?
Immediately was the IBS and immediately was my mental health. So generalized anxiety disorder was always something that I struggled with even as a child. There's a mental clarity that comes with only eating meat. It's hard to describe to somebody who has not lived it, but zero carb Zen is absolutely a real thing. There's a calmness to you. A part of that probably is just that your body is so nourished and you've given your body a chance to work the way it's supposed to. When it's not working on saving you from toxins and environmental pollutions and all of the chemicals that we're putting into our body, it's able to just work properly. So that was huge for me. I saw lots of other changes. The gum recession is a lot better. I suffered from keratosis pilaris on the back of my arms. I'm not sure if you know what that is, but people call it chicken skin. So it was gone pretty quickly, has never returned. My body shape, I'm more muscular now. I like the shape of my body. I noticed in the past when I did low calorie diets, like something like Weight Watchers, I would lose fat where I didn't want to lose fat. And with the carnivore diet, and of course, maintaining proper protein levels, your body just takes on a better shape. That's what I think.
How long have you been carnivore now?
So since 2017.
So 7 years, yeah.
So I would consider myself now to be meat-based.
Because you're adding some other foods such as
Yeah. I'm
blueberries.
not doing a lot of restricting of anything now, but I am certainly taking into consideration how it's going to affect me, whether it's my blood sugar, whether it's my mood, whether it's the past intolerances that I've had. I certainly don't want to spark anything up again. So I think educating yourself about food is huge when you're going to make a diet change.
Did you face any challenges or difficulties while following the carnivore diet, as in while starting on the carnivore diet? And if so, how did you overcome them?
I think my biggest challenge would have been in social settings and, ordering food in a restaurant with a group of people. So you can do it quietly with the waiter, but there's always that one person that's going to point it out and want to talk about it in front of everybody. I always just kept my explanations very simple. This helps with my digestive distress, or, this helps with my mental health, or I've already eaten. I just want a little something. Pre-planning the restaurants I'm going to go to. I eat at home a lot more than ever because it's just so much easier when you eat at home and you prepare your own food.
I guess it's okay now because a lot of people have heard of this extreme carnivore diet, but back 7 years ago, it must have been really hard.
Yeah. Yeah. In many ways, this transition has been so much easier for me. It was not a difficult transition for me to make. I enjoy eating that way. In most restaurants, there's a way to eat that way.
Yeah, unless you go to a vegan restaurant and then
I won't.
yeah. I think they're losing in popularity anyway, so
Yeah, I think
probably
so.
not much longer now. One concern people might have about the carnivore diet is its lack of variety in food choice. How did you ensure you were meeting all your nutritional needs while predominantly eating meat?
So red meat is my favorite. I know that is nutritionally complete, but I eat other things too. So I eat a lot of seafood. I love shrimp. I love oysters. I still am eating full fat dairy. So to me, that is a lot of variety, but I can see how people, when they think about the carnivore diet, are worried about that because of the misinformation out there. They are being told, you're going to go carnivore or you're going to be meat based, but they're also hearing that meat is bad for them. So then when you're talking about going low carb and all of the food in the grocery store, is really just processed products, it's not really food. I think they're feeling like what is left to eat. But, I feel like I have a good variety of food that I eat, and that's never been an issue for me.
How do you respond to critics who argue that the carnivore diet may lack essential nutrients found in plant-based foods?
I mean, I'm almost 50 years old now, so I don't really argue with anybody about this. I mean, a vegan diet or vegetarian diet requires very careful supplementation. And that is just not the case when you're on a meat-based diet. Yeah, I just think that when you eat a lot of meat, you can feel it. You can feel the nourishment, you can feel the satiety. When you're meeting your protein goals, you're not snacking. Yeah, I think that I would not argue with anybody about a plant-based diet. Even as a nutritionist, if somebody came to me And that was something that was really important to them. I probably would tell them that I'm not the right person to work with because to me, animal protein and fat belongs in the diet. And if you want to achieve optimum health, that you need those two things.
You're touching about animal fat, and I know some people they do the carnivore diet the wrong way by only having lean meats. Because you studied so long ago, how did you know that you had to have saturated fat in order to have a good balanced carnivore diet?
So there's been times over my transition that I was eating lean meats and I was taking advice from people that I shouldn't have been taking advice from. Men and women are totally different species. Our needs are totally different. And I think a man can get away with eating a leaner diet, but women need saturated fats. Your sex hormones need saturated fats. Your body needs cholesterol to convert sun into vitamin D. It's optimizes your health, and there's just no way around it. And the energy that you get from eating fat, that's very clear.
In your experience, what are some of the most significant health benefits your clients have experienced from adopting a low carb lifestyle? Or actually, are they adopting a low carb lifestyle or are they adopting more of a carnivore diet lifestyle?
So I've only been in practice for a couple of months now, but one thing I've noticed right off the go is that men want to jump into the carnivore diet. No questions asked. They want to know how much meat to buy, what kind of meat to buy, how often do I eat? That's it. Those are their questions. Women, it's a little bit different. So we are talking about reaching our protein goals every day, but we're also setting a foundation. We are educating ourselves about food. So I might start somebody with just tracking what they're eating now. We're not going to make any changes to their diet right away, but I want to educate them about what they're eating. I'm going to talk to them about ingredients. We're going to talk about labels. We're going to talk about chemicals, additives, emulsifiers, all of those things, because I want them to get a good idea of what they're already eating, what their carbs are now. We're going to try to figure out their carbohydrate threshold. We're going to talk about how that food makes them feel. But then we're going to talk about sunlight and blue light and stress and how they're managing that and movement and exercise. And we're going to put down a platform, the foundation, that's going to help them once they start to transition their food. I don't want to overwhelm anybody by saying, throw out all your food. We're starting from scratch. We're going to go through the grocery store. We're going to learn about 80% of the food in the grocery store is not worthy of eating. We're going to talk about shopping the perimeter. We're going to talk about eating meat first, protein. Once you reach your protein goal for the day, it doesn't leave a lot of room for carbohydrates. So I think that is the key to sticking with it and optimizing your health is meeting that protein goal every day. So that's more of my approach with women, especially women at my age. We are the pancake generation. We have aging parents, we have young children, we are working full time. Some people are working 2 jobs, managing households. That is a lot of stress. It's more stress than we ever should be under. So I think we do need to start with the foundation.
Are there any particular challenges that your clients face when transitioning to a low carb diet?
Well, I would say that a lot of them feel overwhelmed we live in the age of information, but it's certainly the age of misinformation. Just this week, I've seen conflicting reports on time restricted eating, cholesterol, name it. There's conflicting reports every other day coming out. And I went to school to look at studies and to figure out if they're legitimate or not, but not everybody can do that. They're just reading headlines and taking that information and trying to put it into their own lives. And that to me is overwhelming for them. So like I said, again, we're going to go back to education and what is best for them. And I want my clients to really listen to their body's feedback loop. So, we're not going to do something just because somebody else is doing it. We're not going to cold plunge when our cortisol levels are already through the roof. We are going to put our phones on do not disturb and we're going to reduce blue light when we've been sitting in artificial light all day. We are going to get the sunrise. We are going to get the sunset. It's not all just about food. There's a whole array of things that are going to optimize your health.
And for women who obviously have cycles and have different needs according to the time of their cycle, is there anything in particular that you do around PMS time when there are cravings that can be serious, especially when they're transitioning?
Yes. So, absolutely, during that time in your cycle, you're going to lean into all of that. You're going to need more calories. You're going to need more rest, and you're going to need less exercise. You're during that time, your body is going through a lot of change. And also with new clients, they are restricting calories so much. Like 1200 seems to be the magic number for people. They come to me and they say, "Oh, I eat healthy," but they're living on chicken salad. And although that can be a healthy option in their diet, they're just not meeting their protein goals that way. And they're definitely not meeting their calorie goals that day. Some people are barely covering their basal metabolic rate. So definitely during the time of their cycle, we're taking a step back. We're eating more, we're exercising a little bit less. We're still moving, but we're not doing any kind of aerobic, heavy cardio kind of work during that time.
Do you agree with Judy Shaw, who said that a woman shouldn't eat less like 16 to 1800 calories per day?
Absolutely. I'm around 2200, sometimes up to 2600 calories a day. And that's when I feel best. It's when I have the best energy. I mean, these are the things we need to look at. During perimenopause, this is a time of great struggle because of the weight gain that comes along with that. I know I've gained weight since I've started through perimenopause. I see it happening to so many people. So it leaves me wondering, this is just a physiologic change. I see the generations ahead of me struggle to keep weight on. They are making an effort every day to eat enough calories to not lose muscle and to not lose any more fat. So we're also just accepting our bodies and loving our bodies and just going through this change together.
Do you mean while on the carnivore diet, you're still putting on weight because of perimenopause?
Yes. Changes happening in hormones and things in the background that we don't quite understand yet.
Can you discuss the role of carbohydrates in the diet and why some individuals may benefit from reducing their intake?
I think it's up to 80% of the population has some form of insulin resistance at this point. Chronic metabolic health conditions are taking over almost everybody's lives. So, yeah, definitely understanding your carbohydrate threshold. But I would be happy if people were just focusing on a whole foods diet, and getting rid of that junk in the aisles of the grocery store and just going back to whole foods, the perimeter of the grocery store. I think that would make such a big difference in people's lives. And that also includes eating in restaurants because they are using, really crappy fats in restaurants to fry things, to cook in. So eating at home, that's a big change too that people can make that will have a big impact on their health.
So this diet would be close to the paleo diet, using fresh vegetables and fruit
Yeah. And
and
eating
meat and
seasonally
fish.
too, I think is
Seasonally.
also important.
You're based in Canada. Is the profile of the Canadian population the same as the US? Or is
Yes.
there a lag?
Yeah, very much the same. You got to
Okay.
flip that food pyramid upside down here too.
Yes, no, because I think I read that only 16% of the population in the US is metabolically healthy, which means that, I mean, I live in the UK, so we're not far behind,
Hmm.
but it's just incredible to know about. It's just, yeah, it's
Yeah. I'm
horrible.
all the people are, they walk into the grocery store and they see all these labels and heart healthy and low fat and the information that's been given to us, they think that's the food that they should be buying. In one generation, our food has changed so much. Like when my mom was a kid, they went to the farm to get their food. They saw it live a lot of times before they even ate it. And now, my kids do think that the food just comes from the grocery store. So a lot has changed in a very short amount of time, really. and so is our health.
Now that you're a nutritionist specializing in low carb lifestyle, how do you incorporate your experience with the carnivore diet into your practice when working with clients?
So many of my clients already know when they come to me what I'm about. They've saw my Instagram and I share a lot of the food that I eat there. So I am sharing my experience. I'm talking about my own health. I talk about my health and my struggles because not everything is perfect on my Instagram. So they already have a pretty good idea of what I'm about when they come to see me. They just maybe need some fine tuning or a starting point, things like that. But I do share my experiences with them. We do go through, their lifestyle, their health concerns. A lot of people, when they start eating more meat, need a little bit of gallbladder support, a little bit of liver support, while they're transitioning and while their body's adjusting to eating more meat and more nutrient dense foods.
As a nutritionist, what advice would you give to someone who is considering transitioning to a low carb diet but feels overwhelmed or unsure about where to start? Because all this conflicting information that you can find and you mentioned before.
Yes. So I think the transition should be a slow one. Like I said, I'm not going to say throw out all your food. We're starting from scratch. We're going to start with the education. We're going to start with the foundation. We're going to probably stop intaking information from social media for a little while. I see so many conflicting things every day. I feel like there's a pressure for us to try everything, do everything, especially with cold plunges and saunas and cold showers and fasting. I mean, the list goes on, and you think, I don't have time in my day to incorporate all of these health, some of them are just trends, but all of these health trends in my day, and that can be so overwhelming. So I think really we need to get back to basics. I'm constantly reminding my clients that oftentimes it's what you are removing from the diet that is making the most impact in your health. It's not what we're going to add in, it's what we're going to take away. So I think that's something that I like to leave them with, as we transition to meat-based or meat-heavy diet.
Add-ons to the lifestyle that you mentioned, the cold plunges and everything. I think it's for people who have been having a really good lifestyle and diet for a while. They can easily add to it. But for the people who want to start, I think it's, as you said, it's back to the basics, removing all the junk food and then making sure you have the nutritious food, and then you can add, and it gets easier and easier as you're getting healthier.
Absolutely. It does. And making sure that you're listening to your body's feedback.
Mhm.
So if you're all of a sudden not sleeping well, or you're never sleeping well, um, if you're waking up between 2 and 3 in the morning, if your energy is not lasting throughout the whole day, if you're getting that crash in the afternoon, your body is always giving you little hints. So we can always listen to those hints and make adjustments as we go.
It's super important not to override these signs for the body. And I think in a way it's good not to give in to all these new trends, because with hindsight, now you realize that not everything is good for women or women in perimenopause, like fasting and so on. It's right for some people, but not for everyone. So it's, in my opinion, it's important to start when you're ready, when you have a really strong baseline, and then you can add and see and listen to your body.
And I think we have to remember too that most studies that are done on nutrition are done on men, and women are unique, and we need to listen to our bodies.
On nutrition and on medication as well. Although
Yes.
this has slightly changed in the last decade, but I'm not sure how much women are represented in those trials. Finally, for those eager to connect with you, what is the best way to reach out?
I am most active on Instagram. I can really only handle one social media account. So you can find me at Love Our Low Carb Life. And you can also reach out to me on my website, which is www.healthspannutrition.ca.
I usually have guests from the UK or Europe because that's where I'm based, but I've been fully inspired by your feed on Instagram, and that's why I really wanted to have you on here. So thank you so much.
Connected on Instagram for a very long time.
Exactly. Yeah. Thank you for this inspiring chat. Thank you to our listeners. If you've enjoyed this interview, perhaps you'll enjoy this one or that one. And if you find it useful, please like this video and leave a comment with your questions and thoughts. Have you also considered to subscribe and hit the notification bell to stay updated on our latest interview? Until next time, eat well.